My name is Margaret Maggie Hayes, and I'm 65 years old. I've lived in a quiet suburb of Seattle, Washington, ever since my husband, Tom, passed away from cancer 5 years ago. Our home overlooks Lake Washington, a place that used to be our sanctuary, filled with barbecues, fishing trips, and the laughter of our only son, Daniel. But Daniel died in a tragic car accident 10 months ago, leaving me alone in this big, echoing house. The days blur together now, just me and my morning coffee on the deck, staring at the water that once brought joy but now only reminds me of loss. It was a crisp October afternoon when everything changed. I was bundled in my fleece jacket, sipping herbal tea, when I heard the screech of tires. A black SUV, Daniel's old Ford Explorer, now driven by his widow, Kendra, skidded to a stop at the lake's edge, about 200 yards from my deck. Kendra jumped out, her face twisted in rage or panic, I couldn't tell. She popped the trunk and hauled out a large duffel bag, the kind we'd used for family camping trips. It looked heavy, her slim frame strained as she dragged it toward the water. "Kendra!" I called out, but the wind carried my voice away. She glanced around wildly, then heaved the bag into the lake. It hit the surface with a heavy splash, bobbing for a moment before starting to sink. Kendra didn't wait, she slammed the trunk, jumped back in the SUV, and peeled out, gravel flying. Dust clouded the air, and she was gone. I stood frozen, my tea mug slipping from my hand and shattering on the deck. What the hell had I just witnessed? Kendra had always been distant, a city girl from Portland who married Daniel for his steady job as a software engineer. But this? Throwing something into the lake like she was disposing of evidence? My gut twisted. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, but then hesitated. What would I say? My daughter-in-law just dumped a bag in the lake. It sounded crazy. No, I had to check it out myself. My legs, stiff from arthritis, protested as I hurried down the steps and across the lawn. The path to the shore was muddy from recent rain, and I slipped once, scraping my knee. By the time I reached the water's edge, the bag was half submerged, drifting lazily. I waded in without thinking, the cold shocked me, soaking my jeans up to my thighs. The mud sucked at my shoes, but I reached out and grabbed the strap. It was heavier than expected, like it was filled with rocks or something else. Grunting, I pulled it back to shore, my arms burning. Water streamed off the canvas as I dropped it on the grass. That's when I heard it, a faint, whimpering cry from inside. My heart seized. "Oh God, no," I whispered, fumbling with the zipper. It was stuck, swollen from the water. I yanked harder, nails breaking, until it gave way. Inside, wrapped in a damp fleece blanket, was a tiny baby. A newborn, eyes squeezed shut, skin pale and clammy. The umbilical cord was crudely tied with string, not a proper clamp. The infant's lips were tinged blue, and the cries were weak, like a kitten's mew. "No, no, please," I gasped, lifting the baby out. It was a girl, so small, maybe 6 pounds. She felt cold against my chest, but I detected a shallow breath when I pressed my ear to her tiny mouth. Panic surged through me. I clutched her close, shielding her from the wind, and ran back to the house. My wet clothes weighed me down, but adrenaline pushed me. Bursting through the door, I yelled into the empty kitchen, "Help! Oh God, help!" I laid her on the counter, grabbed towels from the drawer, and dried her gently. She stirred faintly, her cries growing a bit stronger. I dialed 911 with shaking hands. 911, what's your emergency? There's a baby. I found her in a bag in the lake. She's cold, barely breathing. Please, send someone. The operator stayed calm, asking for my address near Lake Washington. She guided me, wrap her in dry blankets, keep her warm against your skin. Ambulance is en route. I stripped off my wet shirt, bundled the baby in fresh towels, and held her to my bare chest. Her tiny heart fluttered against mine. Hang on, little one, I murmured, rocking her. You're safe now. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Paramedics burst in, a burly man and a young woman with a ponytail. The woman took the baby efficiently, checking vitals. Hypothermia, possible water in lungs. Let's move. They loaded her onto a stretcher, oxygen mask over her face. You coming? The man asked. I nodded, climbing into the ambulance. As we sped toward Harborview Medical Center, questions flew. How'd you find her? I recounted seeing Kendra throw the bag, the cry, everything. Their eyes widened. We'll notify police. At the ER, chaos erupted, doctors swarmed, shouting stats, core temp 92 degrees, respiratory distress. They whisked the baby away. A nurse, Sarah, with kind eyes and graying hair, stopped me. Family only beyond here. Let's get your info. She led me to a waiting room that smelled of coffee and bleach. I sat, shivering in my damp clothes, recounting the story again. Sarah nodded, typing on a tablet. Police will be here soon. This is attempted murder. Murder. The word hit like a punch. Kendra, Daniel's wife, the woman who'd sobbed at his funeral, had tried to kill a baby? Why? Hours dragged. A doctor emerged, young and exhausted. The infant's stable but critical. Hypothermia treatment ongoing, we're monitoring for pneumonia. Next 48 hours are key. Is she going to make it? My voice cracked. We're hopeful. She's a fighter. Police arrived, Detective Lisa Ramirez, sharp-eyed and in her 40s, with a rookie partner. Mrs. Hayes, tell us everything. I did, from spotting Kendra to pulling the bag out. Ramirez's brow furrowed. You're sure it was her SUV? Positive. License plate ends in 742, Daniel's old car. They nodded, exchanging glances. We'll check it out. Don't contact Kendra. Come to the station tomorrow for a statement. Sarah brought dry scrubs and tea. Go home, rest. But I couldn't leave that baby alone. I stayed, dozing in the chair, haunted by visions of the sinking bag. Reverend Paul from my church showed up at dawn, someone must have called. He sat silently, then said, God gives us strength in trials. I nodded, too weary for words. By morning, the baby improved slightly, temp rising, lungs clearing. But questions piled up. Whose child was she? Why the lake? Detective Ramirez returned at noon, face grim. We located Kendra's SUV at a mall parking lot in Bellevue, timestamped 3:45 p.m., 15 minutes after you say she was at the lake. Impossible, I stammered. I saw her. Security footage shows her shopping. And Kendra? She's missing. House empty, phone off. Doubt crept in. Was grief clouding my mind? I'd never liked Kendra, too ambitious, always eyeing Daniel's tech salary. But framing her? We need DNA on the baby, Ramirez said. To confirm relations. Child Protective Services, CPS, arrived, Emily, a young social worker. The infant needs temporary placement once stable. She quizzed me, income, pension and savings, health, post-Daniel depression, on meds briefly, living alone. If she's family, you could petition for custody, but it's a process, evaluations, classes. Family? The thought hit. Could this be Daniel's child? He died 10 months ago, Kendra could have hidden a pregnancy. Tests confirmed it days later. In a conference room with Ramirez, Emily, and a geneticist, Dr. Hale, the baby shares 25% DNA with you. She's your granddaughter. My world tilted. Daniel's daughter. Conceived before his death. Kendra knew, hid it, tried to kill her. Why? Daniel's accident, Ramirez revealed. We re-examined the car. Brakes tampered with. Not an accident, murder. Kendra. For insurance? Daniel had a $250,000 policy, plus savings for future kids. He'd changed his will weeks before dying, leaving everything to offspring. Theory: Kendra killed Daniel for money, discovered the will favored the child, birthed in secret, then disposed of her. Horror washed over me. My son murdered, granddaughter nearly drowned, all for greed. Custody battle ensued. I jumped through hoops, background check, psych eval, are you replacing Daniel, home inspection, parenting classes, insulting for a woman who'd raised a son. At 65, they questioned my age, stamina. But I fought. The baby, named Sophia after my mother, thrived in NICU. I visited daily, holding her tiny hand. Weeks later, Kendra called, I want my daughter and the money. Threatening, confessing vaguely. Police set a trap at an abandoned boathouse by the lake. Midnight meet, I wore a wire. Kendra appeared, gun in hand, boasting, Daniel was in the way. The baby too. Hired a mechanic to cut the brakes, $5,000 well spent. She fired as police stormed in. Bullet grazed my arm. They arrested her. Trial, guilty, life without parole for murder, attempted murder. I won permanent custody, adopted Sophia. Years later, at 70, I chase her around the yard. She's 5, full of Daniel's spirit. Love conquered evil. Tragedy birthed hope. And I'd do it all again.